Hello, America. Welcome. It is Erick Erickson here across the United States of America. Glad to have you with me today. Hope you had a great extended long weekend. The phone number here, 877-973-7425, should you wish to be on the program. Delighted to have you with me. If you text Erick, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can be on the live stream, show notes, podcast, all of that, whatever you need. Now, I got to begin with the news over the weekend, the sad news over the weekend. That is the death of the hostages held by Hamas. I need to begin it this way. There are a lot of people who say January 6th is disqualifying for Donald Trump, and I totally get that. And there are a lot of people on the right who say Kamala Harris bailing out of prison the people who burned down the small businesses across America during the summer riot season of 2020 is disqualifying for Harris, and it's disqualifying that Tim Walz didn't call out the National Guard. I got to tell you, if you want to get in a tit for tat of what's disqualifying, it's pretty damn disqualifying that the President of the United States sat on a beach working on his suntan while his vice president was campaigning across the country on a theme of joy, while an American citizen was getting a bullet in the back of his head held by Hamas since October 7th, and they decided to blame Israel. That, to me, is disqualifying. That's disqualifying. Donald Trump, when he was president of the United States, we didn't see Russia extend its gains in Ukraine that they had made when Barack Obama was president. We didn't see Hamas invading Israel with the help of Iran when Donald Trump was president. We didn't have American citizens held hostage by the Taliban or by Hamas when Donald Trump was president. We still have Americans held by the Taliban, and we have poor Hersh killed in a tunnel in Gaza as his rescuers were approaching along with the other hostages. They were in Rafah, an area the Biden administration refused to give arms to Israel unless they agreed not to go. So the hostages were held where Joe Biden told Netanyahu not to go. Go figure. So they would put the hostages in an area of Gaza. The Biden administration stridently told Israel, don't go there. Israel went there and rescued some. Some Israel was able to rescue alive. We know now from press reports over the past several days that Hamas had instructed the captors to kill the hostages if the Jews approached. They were killed together, not at the same time. The group, knowing they were going to die as one died, waiting for which bullet or two would be theirs, knowing their time had come. Over 300 days held in captivity, Hamas firing guns into the backs of their heads, one by one, until there were none left. And Joe Biden worked on his suntan, and Kamala Harris campaigned on joy. If that's not disqualifying, I'm sorry. That is fundamentally disqualifying for me. I get attacked by people on the right who are Trump fans saying, you've got to be on the team, you've got to shut up now. I had a guy call on Friday and say, everything you say that's a criticism of Trump helps Kamala Harris. I'm not on a team. I used to be on a team, but the team that I thought I was on, I was clearly no longer on. I was an elected Republican at one point. I have no idea what the hell it means to be a Republican these days. I was an elected Republican. I'm a Trump donor. I supported him in 2020. I'll support him in 2024. It doesn't mean I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Just because I support a candidate doesn't mean it's my obligation to be quiet when I disagree with the candidate. No, I am not a cheerleader or a water carrier for any human being. We're all sinners. We all fall short of the glory of God. We should all hold each other accountable. What is striking to me, however, is how quiet the Democrats are. And there will be some of the right who say, see, they get it. You should be quiet. It is morally reprehensible to me that there are no Democrats out there willing to stand up and say to the Democratic side, why is the President of the United States working on a suntan while an American is held hostage by Hamas? Why is there no military response from the United States to Hamas? Why is the gut reaction of the United States of America to blame Israel for not working harder for a peaceful solution that would keep Hamas alive? You cannot make deals with the devil. You cannot placate evil. It must be obliterated. Hamas is evil. To the extent there are people starving in Gaza, they're starving because of Hamas, not Israel. And it is the apologists for evil who refuse to tell you that. It is the apologists for Hamas who tell you Israel is to blame for the plight of the Gazan people. They're not starving in the West Bank where Hamas is not in charge. They're starving in Gaza, where Hamas not only is in charge, but started a war. It is morally reprehensible, in my mind, that these Israeli citizens, including one who is jointly an American citizen, would be murdered by Hamas, and the response from the British, the response from the Americans, as well as Israel, you need to do better at getting a peace deal. It's not Israel's fault. Israel is the victim. We get lectured repeatedly, ruthlessly, regularly by the left that we can't blame victims unless the victims are Jewish, apparently, unless the victim is Israel. It's remarkable to me, though, that here is a president of the United States of America who clearly is not mentally fit to be in the job. And notice how the media that was insisting he didn't have the mental capacity to run again for president, they've been awful quiet since he dropped out. The media, of course, is in on it as well. They don't really care. They don't care about Joe Biden's mental faculty. They don't care about Joe Biden's ability to do the job. All they care about is stopping Donald Trump. And so they can't speak up. Someone's got to care about the truth. This isn't partisan politics. Not everything is about partisan politics. And I refuse to operate like the left and presume that everything is about the acquisition of power. We've got Tucker Carlson out there platforming a Nazi apologist, calling this man, regardless of the platforming of him, the best, the most honest historian. The man hates Winston Churchill and excuses the Nazis. Not going to be like that. The truth does set us free, and the truth is that so many Democrats are captive to their hatred of Donald Trump, they will turn a blind eye to Joe Biden sitting on a beach while an American citizen is taking a bullet to the back of the head by his terrorist captors, because they would rather have Kamala Harris than Donald Trump, because they don't really care about the truth. They don't care about the right thing. They care about their side having power. And for those Americans who do care about the truth, those Americans who are sitting on the sidelines, and those Americans who are thinking, I don't like Trump, I don't think I can vote for him, here is your qualifying line of demarcation. These people did not have Americans held hostage when Donald Trump was president, and while Joe Biden's president, he's sitting on a beach and these Americans are taking bullets to the back of the head. That should be disqualifying. Kamala Harris campaigns on hope and joy. How joyous is it that an American died with a bullet to the back of his head by Hamas? And by the way, I thought it was very notable that American media outlets like CNN, their first reaction to this is Hersh Goldberg dies in Gaza. How? They couldn't bring themselves to say Hamas put a bullet in the back of his head. The American Press Corps used the passive voice. They themselves couldn't bring themselves to blame Hamas. You see what's going on here? All of the intellectual vigor of the American press corps is going towards protecting Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. All of their energy is spent excusing them. You know, they've been attacking Donald Trump for making a partisan showing at Arlington National Cemetery. Never mind he was there by the Gold Star families. You know, the Gold Star families said they invited Kamala Harris and Joe Biden as well. Someone for the White House says, we don't have a record of it. And the media's like, oh, they're lying. The Gold Star families are lying. So now the press will attack the Gold Star families. Donald Trump was there. And regardless of whether Donald Trump did something partisan or not in defiance of the rules, we would not be there and he would not be at Arlington but for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris overseeing 13 American soldiers dying. The only reason Trump is at Arlington Cemetery is a story is because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris permitted 13 American soldiers to die in Afghanistan through their botched withdrawal. The problem should not be Donald Trump, but of course the media wants to pour energy into that. They would rather make the story about Donald Trump's behavior at Arlington National Cemetery than why the 13 died. Kristen Welker on Meet the Press this Sunday claimed that Kamala Harris was at Dover for receiving the bodies back from Afghanistan. She was not. Kristen Welker from Meet the Press has not corrected the record. Don't know that she cares to correct the record. I assume that she will correct the record. I presume. I have a higher hope for humanity than most. But the media will circle the wagons around Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They will demand that everything Donald Trump does is proof of his disqualification. But the real proof of disqualification is an old man sitting on a beach in Delaware while his vice president tours the country, claiming joy everywhere. There was no joy under the ground in a tunnel in Gaza. There was only death. And that an American citizen could be held that long since October 7th of last year. More than 300 days held in a tunnel, missing an arm, having been blown off on October 7th by a grenade. And our American president did nothing to rescue him. Our American president decided Israel was to blame and decided to withhold arms and direct Israel not to go in that direction, not to go into Gaza, not to go protect, not to go defend, not to go retrieve, not to go punish evil, not to go fight evil. And then evil decided in a tunnel under a street in Gaza to fire a bullet into the back of the head of an American citizen. And Joe Biden picked up his phone and ordered food from a beach while he worked on his tan as that American was dying. That, my friends, is disqualifying.